we have another special guest this week, Mr. Ben Griffiths, formerly of the Richmond Tigers, now plying his trade in the US of A. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very good. It's a sunny day over here, so I've got no complaints from my end.
And currently you're in Los Angeles?
Yeah, still in LA. We're about half an hour east of the USC campus, but still floating about.
The USC campus itself is in LA, or it's just outside?
Yeah, it's pretty much downtown LA. I think technically it's in South Central, but yeah, it's about 10-minute drive from the CBD.
And around the town, do you see more Trojans gear around or more Ram stuff getting flown around?
Is that a joke? That's a joke.
It's got to be Trojans, I'm guessing.
100%.
On a Saturday, it's Trojan.
Yeah.
On a Sunday, it's all Rams.
Yeah, the Rams are starting to get some traction in LA because that was a big problem when they made the move from St. Louis, right?
Well, after last year, they got a bit of traction. I think.
The whole Super Bowl.
That'd probably help.
Pretty big deal when you're trying to get a fan base.
Yeah. Sorry, Chargers.
We might wind the clock all the way back, if that's okay, mate. Start with where it all began for you. You grew up in Victoria, I'm pretty sure, in Melbourne as well. Played junior footy for the Eastern Rangers. Is that correct? What can you tell me about your very first memories of playing footy? Did you always were you already launching 60-metre torps for the old Eastern Rangers?
No, I was never game enough to launch one in a game. Look, I started Aussie Kick. I think my path was pretty similar to a lot of guys that go through the system, and did Aussie Kick, played junior footy, and then was lucky enough to get recruited to Eastern Rangers, and then from there, fortunate to get a spot on Richmond's list for 8 years. So I think like the first my school, funnily enough, on Aths Day had an event called Super Kick, and that was like the one event I was pretty good at. So
good name.
It's translated pretty well.
So from an relatively early age, did you have an inkling that maybe the NFL or at least American football was an opportunity as a punter as well, or it was something that sort of came across later during your AFL career?
Oh, for sure, came across it later. I think I never really knew that a punter and just kicking the football was something that you could do. And then we came over here, I think it was 2012, for a training camp with Richmond. And we went to a game, I think it was Arizona versus, I can't remember they were playing, but that was kind of my first real exposure to NFL and then the college system too, because we were training out of the U of A. And then that kind of like sort of fed into it a little bit. And then as I became more familiar with the game, it then was something that I was always kind of thinking about.
Had you grown up like watching the NFL as well? Were you a fan as a kid, or?
It doesn't sound like it, if I'm being honest. If you're like, I didn't know people could punt in it, it's...
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like I remember watching a game at my nana's house when I was like 14, and just watching it. It was like, oh, it's American football, whatever. But then when I was at Richmond, we had a fantasy league going. So through like competitive banter and whatnot with teammates, you kind of I followed the game more closely than I had before, and it wasn't until I got over here that I actually learnt the game, but certainly liked the appeal of it.
Who are some of the other big names of the Richmond boys that also get around the NFL? Because it's quite popular these days, it seems like.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty good appreciation for American sporting culture from Australia. Jack Rewalt was a massive fan. He took it pretty seriously, and still does. Dave Asprey was another one. Sean Grigg and Chris Newman.
Yep.
Newey liked to think he was pretty good and pretty switched on with his team selection, but he made some pretty questionable decisions. And
he was running 3 tight ends in the Superflex, as Teddy hates to see from me every week.
It's 3 tight end set in fantasy. What are we doing? Wow.
Hey.
I've got too many options. I don't know what to say to you boys. Hey, but anyway, let's turn back. It was 2009 when you were drafted by the Richmond Tigers, and then made your debut in 2010. You were the same draft class as Dusty as well, I believe. You spent your whole career playing with Dusty. What was playing with the big fella like?
Oh, pretty special. You get a front row seat to like one of the best acts ever. So, I mean, it's hard to kind of enjoy it in the moment when you're playing a game, but certainly, at least when I left, I could appreciate it a little bit more because I could, when you sit there and you're detached from it and you can just watch this guy do his stuff, like it's pretty special. And I mean, you know what his highlight reel's like. He's done some pretty crazy stuff. So, yeah, I mean, the other thing, I was the pick before Nat Fyfe too, so I feel,
that's a good claim.
yeah, probably the biggest highlight of my career. Honestly.
Handy footballer, Mr. Fyfe.
Yeah. Wouldn't have been a bad pickup for the Tigs, I don't reckon.
They've done all right, mate.
Fyfe and Dusty together could have been a pretty elite combination as well. But 2017, I think you were still there. Were you part of the premiership team the year they won in 2017?
I didn't play in the game. I was still there though. And I played in the VFL we didn't win it, but in the grand final the week before.
What was that like at the end of your AFL career? Was it, to do with injuries? Was there a specific moment where you thought, maybe this isn't quite working out? What should be the next step? Were there conversations with coaches? How does this sort of delisting process work, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so 2017, I had a string of concussions and I was out of the game. I think it was like 3 months I didn't play. And then I came back at the end of the year. But I think that kind of period of time put a lot of things in perspective for me. And then at the end of the season, Ben Lennon, one of my other teammates, had just committed to Utah. He's not there anymore, but that kind of like fed into the whole thought of me coming over here at some point. And I just went to Pro Kick to have a conversation and find out what it was about and what it kind of looks like. And then I was still contracted for 2018 when I made the decision to step away and then commit to USC.
How hard was that decision, mate?
It was hard because I had to tell people and I felt like I was letting people down. But when you're in that position, I knew straight away that it was something I had to do. Yep. So, I mean, it was an easy decision, but just really hard at the same time because I didn't want to feel like I was failing other people.
And after you did tell your friends and family, was there much pushback or was it just like mostly positive noise at the end of it?
No, everyone was so supportive. Mum and Dad. Mum was playing devil's advocate at the start.
They'll do that.
I think she was just trying to keep me in the country. But Dad was super supportive and I think he saw the long-term vision of what I was trying to get out of it. And then even when I told Dimmer, he was so supportive of it and I couldn't be more thankful of how much support I got in the end for making that decision. And
you did go to USC, currently undefeated, ranked seventh.
Yeah, it would have been nice to still be on the team.
Who would you rather win a flag, Tigers or USC?
That's a hard one. I mean,
I know, man.
I'm going to say USC. I think like Richmond's, they won 3 out of the last 5, whatever it is.
Yeah,
so
they've had more than enough. You mentioned that it was you had to explain the reasons why you wanted to go across. When you first decided to make that switch, was it a financial thing or a desire to play more professionally, maybe somewhere else, or to have a different type of a footballing career? What were the biggest reasons for you for deciding you wanted to have a crack at it?
A lot of it was geared towards getting a degree, honestly, because throughout 2017, I was kind of having these, like, I'd go through waves of just not knowing what I was going to do outside of football because what I was dealing with was making me question, like, is football even something I still want to play?
Yep.
Given the uncertainty of like long-term, whatever, that's another discussion. But like,
concussion things,
all the concussion stuff. But like for me, it was about what's my life outside of sport in general, because sport is only such a small portion of who we are as people and what we do in the span of our life. So I wanted to get a degree, but the appeal was that I could obviously still play sport at a really high level and be part of a team, and then also the ambition to go to the league over here as well. it was just a great kind of stepping stone for that.
What was that transition like? You've come from the AFL, which was, the top professional level in Australia. Is it strange to sort of have to take, I guess you're 28, to take half a step back into semi-professional college football where, obviously I know the professionalism in college is still extremely high, but to take a step back, you're not recognised by people on the street or anything anymore. What did it feel like for you to walk into that environment at USC?
I was lucky because, my manager before I left, Paul Connors, he was like really good in making sure that I was looking after my money really well, and that I think put myself in a better position to be able to make the decision and feel really comfortable about it. Because it is hard when you forego a contract and then you're on a college stipend check, which is, for a lot of guys, it's between like $1,500 and $1,800 a month.
Plus whatever else they were sprinkling on top, right, mate?
None of it. Well, I wasn't getting any of that. There's some bigger dogs on that team that I think get the sprinkles.
Yeah, Drake London might have been taking a bit of that off you, I think, mate.
I dare say so, yeah.
But yeah, then to arrive in a place like USC, mate, you're pretty lucky. That's a massive college team to come into in the USA. Was it a variety of options that you had, or was that was one that seemed like the clear best offer to take?
That was kind of like the only one I had at the start. Just the way that Pro Kick kind of operates is they'll try and match the player to where they think they'll fit. And I hadn't committed to the program, but the USC guy was like fishing around for someone when I happened to go and chat to Chappie. And so it kind of happened really quick, and I was extremely lucky with, I guess, the timing of it all, which kind of fed into why the decision was so easy to make in the end. It just seemed like the right thing.
For those that don't know at home, USC is one of the biggest football colleges in America. It's like Notre Dame, Alabama, USC historically. It's been a tough run last decade or so since Reggie left, but they're back this year, man. Like I said, ranked 7th, just one behind the mighty University of Tennessee, where I went. Go the Vols. How's your team doing, CJ?
FAU unranked as usual. In the mighty CUSA East, they're not doing so good.
Now some college questions are done, man. What's next for you? What are your prospects over the next 6 months, the year? What are you looking forward to on the horizon?
I guess it's kind of hard to plan at the moment because of just waiting for my visa. So
yep.
I'm just training, and then whenever it comes through, I'll be ready to kind of try and get onto a practice squad if the season's still going, or try and get onto a team for the summer training camp and go from there and compete for a spot. It was frustrating because I went to the Chargers rookie camp and a portion of the OTAs. So I kind of got a taste of it, and very similar to how AFL teams operate. And so it was kind of hard to be forced away from that. And I'm hoping that I get another chance to kind of get back into that environment.
I think that is just about all we have time for, though, mate. So I would like to thank you very much for all of your answers. And from me and Ted, we do wish you all the best. Good luck on your journey. Fingers crossed that visa comes through soon. And I hope you enjoyed your time on the Onside Kick, mate.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
No worries, mate. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. See you next week.